let's shift to what could very well be the most lucrative, watched, popular, notorious boxing, I guess, or even combat event of all time coming up. Mike Tyson, the 57-year-old Mike Tyson, against the what do you call the bad boy of YouTube, Jake Paul.
It's crazy that that's real. It's just crazy to me.
No, this does feel like this is an alternative universe we're living. Like I literally have shifted to a new dimension that this is actually an event. But beyond like being like you and I grew up huge Tyson fans, like
all time.
Like I never want to meet him. I just like because again, like a lot of people are like, I have no interest in meeting him, but I don't want to live in a world without Mike Tyson. I posted that on one of his recent posts on Instagram. So I've been following him prep for the fight. And I've never had a comment I've made on someone else's account get that much engagement. People were like, some people were like, oh my God, I'm in tears right now. Another guy was like, you know, like how this is unhealthy behavior, or you better get used to it because he could be gone anytime. Like, what are you talking about? But the reality is, like, I don't know a life without having Mike Tyson to be such a pivotal role. You know, growing up, I got Mike Tyson tank top on. So we're in it, but like, there's also so many things to unpack from the fact this is an actual event on Netflix. It's going to be free on Netflix. This is an event that they would have charged, you know, $100, $200 for 5 years ago. And they know they can't do that, but they know they can get the most eyeballs ever to watch this fight. What was your initial reaction to it? I know a lot of people are like, this is disgraceful. I'm disgusted. Mike Tyson's going to hurt himself. What was your initial reaction to it? Has it changed since the announcement, or are you still kind of where you were?
I mean, like, it's all a freak show, right? At this point, I go, it just, that's what it is. But we watch freak shows, like we watch train wrecks. That's what we do. And they're not stupid. Like the Paul brothers are not dummies. Like they became rich as fuck by doing things like this. And to get to this level of it is, I mean, I do feel like we were living in some kind of simulation where this is not like even the real world. But honestly, like the same way when I saw, like, because McGregor did it. This is the Conor McGregor. Now I'm a Conor fan just of like, because I watched him from young till now, just like what he's done career wise, like whether you like him as a person and all the dumb shit that he says. He is he's a cartoon character. It's fucking why it's like to listen to him just like talk shit and do these voice messages on Twitter, which I think he's the only person who ever does voice messages on Twitter. But when he's going to go fight Floyd, I'm like, I know he's not going to beat him. Like, because Floyd Mayweather, fights a certain kind of way, can fight for basically 3 days in a row. Conor's fast twitch. If he knocks him out quick, sure, but Floyd's not that dude. And I'm like, did I pay for it? Yeah, I paid for it. And the dude made $100 million like off that fight. And so you just watch the kind of the evolution of that, like where, again, Francis Ngannou goes and fights Tyson Fury and knocks him on his ass, like, which is wild. Now the most money Francis ever made. So this is just like a version of that. It's just not two dudes like in their primes. You have literally the most famous boxer that will ever, I mean, I guess Ali and him, but you could argue it's the only thing where it's like it's Michael Jordan and it's like Larry Bird, I guess, you know, like where everybody knows Ali, everybody also knows Tyson. Like people will know that name forever. And then to fight a kid who used to be a fucking Disney kid who's now become like a real boxer, and I'm assuming he's just juiced to the gills because the dude looks fucking enormous compared to like what he was. I don't know. I'm like, it'll be a freak show train wreck, but will I watch it? Yeah, for sure. Would I box if I was in my late 50s? No, but I'm also not Mike Tyson. I know he's Mike Tyson, but like Father Time is the only person who's undefeated. It's like the Kenyon Martin quote, like the only person who could guard Prime Shaq was Father Time. And I feel like this is it too. Like, what is Jake Paul in his 20s?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, when you're in your late 20s, like 30, you're kind of prime mode for most people, and not a lot of pro dudes in their late 50s in their prime range.
Before I share my thoughts, what's your prediction on how that goes down?
I mean, if it's like a fight, how big is Jake Paul?
I think he's about so I know Tyson's coming in at like 220, and Tyson's like 5'10". I think Jake Paul's about 6 feet and 200 pounds. I'll look it up when you're talking. But he's got a big overhand right. He really does. And anytime you're over 200 pounds, you are talking about one punch away. But yeah, that's interesting too. There, I don't know if there's any drug testing for it. To me, that would be mandatory.
Yeah, but they both got to be juiced up, bro. Like, you're in your late 50s, you got to be. You have to be, just to recover and just do basic shit. I mean, and all the damage you take, I think it adds up over time. Like, it's not like it goes away. You just acquire damage as you go. And Jake's really never fought anybody where he's took a ton of damage. I guess the Fury fight, which I only saw clips of it, I guess a little bit, but otherwise he's fighting like MMA dudes who aren't really strikers, and these fights aren't going the distance. Where Tyson's lives a life and a half. He's been through it. So if I had to bet money, I don't know, man. It seems like the longer it goes, like if you're 57, the worse it'll be for you, just your gas tank and the damage you collect and everything. But he is also Mike Tyson. So I guess I'd say Paul, just because he's like 30 fucking years younger and like this is all he does now. But I'd love to see Mike knock him out, but I don't know, man. It just seems like that's not going to happen, sadly.
So he's 6'1", 200 pounds, but apparently he might be trying to gain some size for this particular fight, because that's the one thing too. If you study Mike Tyson's career, he really only struggled against big, tall guys. Guys like 6'5", 260 that would have really big. It would just be jabbing down on him, and it wasn't an issue when he was young in his prime and peak condition with the discipline intact, a good training team intact, because his movement would allow him to get in on the inside and just bust them up. Where he struggled later in his career after jail, basically, when, and as far as I'm concerned, he was training himself to get ready for these fights. He became a sitting duck if he couldn't get these guys out in the first 3 to 5 rounds, because he didn't have the conditioning, he didn't have the head movements. And then, people don't talk about this enough with Tyson. Tyson's chin was next level, because at 18, he had like a 20+ inch neck that would just eat punches. But the thing is with boxing, if you study it and you see these guys as they age, it just takes a couple brutal knockouts, and you, even with a good neck, you'll lose your chin. It's like the concussion. Once you get a concussion, it's easier to get another concussion, and the symptoms from those concussions get exponentially worse. So that would be my concern, is that he gets one overhand right, and because again, like, people, I don't want to remember it, but like the way he went out to like Lennox Lewis killed like some of Mike Tyson's ancestors in that fight. I got to know how Tyson even stayed up as long as he did. Now, that would have been, and it was, by the way, a totally different fight when those guys sparred in the 80s. And Lennox Lewis didn't want any part of that Mike Tyson. No one did, because, again, it's about speed and movement. There's never a still target. And the movement, as we'll talk when we get into the boxing, the movement is what creates all the power in his punches. His defense sets up all that pivoting, rotating, positioning, sets up all the power in the counter punches that made him legendary. That's what's gone. But obviously, I think and I think they said too, and I think things are going to change as the fight approaches. it seems like they have already, in terms of like, this was not going to be a professionally sanctioned bout. Now it is. Early on, they were saying you only win if you knock someone out, but otherwise there's no winner or loser, but that's strange. So I don't know exactly how it's going to end up going down day of the fight. If it goes past 3 to 5 rounds, I don't have a lot of hope for a 57-year-old Mike Tyson. But if Mike Tyson in the first couple rounds just goes to Jake Paul's body, gets on the inside, I think he'll knock him out.
Yeah, if he can get close and get inside, it's just like, and again, like I've only seen Jake Paul like the couple fights against dudes who just don't really box, but they're like real fighters, or like they're real dudes, and he sleeps them, dude. Like they're done. Like, oh man, it would suck, dude, to watch. You just hate, like, it's the way I feel like the Jordan with the Wizards. Like I just pretend like it didn't exist, and not that he was trash, because he was still good, but I don't like to remember that. Like I think that's where you remember Shaq, like with the Celtics, or like Cleveland, and people that now see him on TNT and they're like, "Oh, Shaq, whatever." I'm like, "No, dude." I'm like Lakers Shaq, bro. Like I try to remember him prime, and so like I remember Tyson like coming out like to Tupac, just killing motherfuckers. Like that's what I want to remember. I don't want to remember him losing to, a YouTube kid, essentially, or even just a young boxer in his 20s. Like it's wild to think, man. You're going to be 57. Like retirement age is like 60, dude. Like it's for like a normal factory worker. It's crazy he's doing it.
And the other piece of it too is, and we've heard this for generations now. The last thing to go is the power. And you see these clips, again, these clips online in short 5 to 7 second bursts. Like in short 5 to 7 second bursts, you and I can look like world-class athletes.
Yeah.
And so can he. But then, as length and time comes in, you start to see that inability to sustain it. But he still has just remarkable movement and power. And even at 57, like Jake Paul will never have felt what he's going to feel in the ring for however long Tyson can sustain it, because, there's a difference you see in the other piece of this too, man, is like Tyson has been doing this since he was 12. And you and I both know the difference between guys that just pick something up later in life as an adult versus they've been doing it since kids. Like Floyd Mayweather, he's been doing it since he was a kid. I only saw one time in Floyd Mayweather's career where he got hit, and it was against Shane Mosley, and Shane got him. Like Mayweather had to but Mayweather knew exactly what to do to get through the round. He changed his strategy between rounds, moved to a guard where basically, like Shane got him on the right side of his chin, and the rest of the fight, Mayweather was fighting like this, and Shane never got close. But he had to wrap up, like, and not that Shane didn't fight since Shane was he comes from a fighting family, but it's different. And I think Jake Paul is going to find out pretty quick that, oh wow, this guy's 57, but like he's going to get flashes of what we all saw in the 80s. It's just not going to last very long.
And it's crazy too, and it's free on Netflix. No money.
So let's talk about that. Like, did you ever think we'd get to a point where something that you could, like, that was people would have to pay $100 or $200 for is going to be free? Yeah. Look, you have to pay to get a membership, right? But this is now where we are. There's a variety of factors, right? No matter what the reports say or articles that come out about how great the economy is doing, everyone knows this economy is a house of cards based on consumer confidence, and consumers have zero confidence. You tell me, am I wrong based on everything I see and hear? So you have to pivot and shift, but the thing at the same time, there's never more content. People can't get enough content. There's been a big shift in how much people are willing to invest in making new content because of that, and as a result, you've seen these big cinematic, hundreds of million blockbusters basically die in favor of, using CGI and AI, and also going the route of just like, let's just make kind of a TV style movie. because it's just not worth investing in something people aren't willing to pay for. People aren't going to theaters. Like we're at a point now where basically in the next 3 to 5 years, if there is a theater in your area, like it's around for a special reason, right? Like it has a strip club. You can just go, you get 2 for 1. Surf and turf, strip club, and a theater is what it's going to take to get people to go out to a theater, because they opened that Pandora's box during the pandemic when people were like, oh, you know what? Like I'm looking over at my couch where I watch my movies. I have that sex ramp from college that I use to elevate my legs to drain the arthritis. I've got my Normatex. I have unlimited beverage and food options. I don't have to worry about someone coming in and doing something crazy in the theater because we live in that age now.
Yeah.
Why would I leave? Why would I leave the house?
Yeah, I went to Oppenheimer. I think that's like the only movie I've seen in the last like probably couple years.
That's the last one I went to. We did Barbie and then Oppenheimer. And actually it was after Oppenheimer where I was like, because that movie had to be broken down into 3 parts. In my opinion, like you need some breaks. Like after the first hour, I just want to, get up, walk around a little bit, think about it. It's so dense and it's nonstop, the pace of it. And I was like, yeah, this doesn't make sense for me to go to the theater anymore because I'm just going to be too stiff when I get home. And I'm not really fully enjoying this because this is designed to be processed. And in 1 3-hour burst, like you feel like you are in a nuclear explosion. I know that was the intended effect from the director, who I'm a big fan of. We're both fans of Nolan. But it just gets to the bigger picture. Just like people have never wanted more content than ever. At the same time, they have never been less willing to pay for it. And it just has created a really unique spot for content creators, for events, for entertainment and sports in general.
No, it's the one thing, like in our like mastermind group, I talk about it a lot and people ask me like, hey, what do you think is going to go on and insert time frame? And I'm like, I don't know, dude, because I've never seen anything. The world, not to be too grumpy old men here, but the world is a shit show. Financially, it is a dumpster fire, whether people want to believe that or not. Like you can look at the numbers and I don't even know how half the shit is going on that's going on right now, just because most people have to be completely broke as shit. But 2, just like to look at the technology and how fast it moves, like it's exponential growth. It's not just like what it was. Oh, hey, 2 years ago it was this. Now in the next 2 years it'll be that. I'm like, no, the next 2 years is like 10 years or 20 years. Like it's that much faster. So I'm like, I don't know what people will want to do. Like, I don't know what people are looking at. Like, and when I look at, I don't, even at this point, like just look at social alone is like so overwhelming to look at anything. I try not to even get the fun little basketball clips that I get, but I'm like, they'll suck me in once in a while and I'll hear Baron Davis talk about when John Stockton busted his ass for the first time. Like those things are fun for me to watch. But other than that, I'm like, it's so much content. It's so much video. It's every platform. It's all the time. And it just seems like there's way too much to even like remotely use in a logical way. Like, can you listen to 10 different podcasts? Like, can you follow 250 Instagram accounts? And now it's like, because back in the day, like you would watch your feed and like when your friends ran out, your feed was done. When Joey's getting a taco and Susie's at the beach, like, and when that's over, it's over. Now it's just an endless scroll of like shit that's people and things you don't even know and have no connection to. They're feeding you. And I just feel like it's a really weird, I would love to see people's screen times. Like if you could walk around and see like when people walk around like a number, like 8 hours and 7 minutes today, and you would just be like mortified, but by what's going on. So not to get off topic, but yeah, with the streaming stuff and how much shit is out there, I don't know where any of it goes, business wise or content wise. I know I definitely didn't see like a pay-per-view event I think most people would pay for be completely for free on the biggest platform there is.
I mean, the other piece of it too is, I'm sure you've seen this ad if you've been watching NBA playoffs, this new Google phone where basically you see this guy who can barely jump. He gets off the floor about as high as Jokic does, but then because of the new technology on the phone, he can take himself and level himself up to look like he jumped 10 feet. And again, like, great, I've got no problem with tech. But what I'm saying is we are now also in a situation where it's impossible. I mean, people can tell this has been altered, but the thing is, in a mass scale, when the feeds, like you said, it's like Pac-Man, bro. No matter where you go, it's just nonstop content pumping your way. And it is difficult to decipher what's real, what isn't. That also changes things in the sense that, from a business standpoint, when you can't decipher what is real, what isn't, and in our space, I've already seen it. Like, where now there's like people are making content where it's just like this avatar, like this muscle avatar, like a Da Vinci on steroids, doing movements, and then his muscles light up to show which body part is being worked.
Yeah.
You don't need guys like us anymore doing the movements. Just use this fake avatar creation. And again, I don't think, and this is what I'll mention because as a pivot point, I saw Seinfeld talk about recently how the film business as we know it, it's dead. And he was wondering why people are taking it so seriously, because like, this is pointless, guys. Like, this is dead. It's all fake. None of it matters. This is not nearly what it used to be. But for him, he's like, but there's always stand-up. Because, that's when you, as in his space, comedy, the true craftsman or craftspeople, whatever you want to say, you can't fake it in stand-up, right? Like, like on social media and with all like post-production and editing and AI and CGI, you can fake a lot. But when you go with a mic on stage in front of a bunch of people, you're either funny or you're not. I guess the example for us would be like, hey, train these 20 people. And you and we did that. You still do it. We'd be well equipped to handle that. But a lot of people online likely, I mean, they would make an attempt, but it would likely be, having 50-year-old postmenopausal women who's 50 pounds overweight doing tuck jumps. And that won't work out too well. And she'd be peeing herself within the first minute. So, that's what I was talking to my wife. It's like, how can we, at the speed and rate of content delivery, keep up with what is and isn't real? And then what effect is that going to have on our brains subconsciously long-term? Where you see an actual feat that is amazing and you don't appreciate it because of all of the altered, enhanced, on steroid content that's being just pumped. And you mentioned McGregor earlier. That dude went on at least 2 cycles for that movie Roadhouse. I thought he was great in it, by the way. I saw some people saying he ruined the movie. I thought he was excellent. That guy is the ultimate heel. He's even better than Jake Paul.
Oh, dude, he's, what did people think he was going to be? Like Daniel Day-Lewis? Like, they thought he was going to be Matthew McConaughey in True Detective season 1. Like, just give this life. Like, that's not what Connor is. Connor played Connor.
What could he have done better?
Like, that's what he did. He knew the assignment. Like, he understood the assignment, and that's what he did. Like, but yeah, he was, super. I mean, again, he's in the recovery pool, so he was super juiced up for sure.